Good morning, everyone. Really excited to be here. My name is Giles Whiting. I am the CEO of the combined company of Decisions and ProcessMaker. We're really excited to spend the next 45 minutes with some customers. You're the most important part of our business. And I'm joined here by Brian Reel, who is now the Chief Customer Officer with the former CEO and co-founder of ProcessMaker, and Heath Erdeman, who is the CTO and most former CEO and co-founder of Decisions. Next slide. We're excited about what we're doing here because we have brought together two real powerhouses, two strong companies in the business orchestration and process automation space. And these are proven platforms that have over 4 decades of experience in the space. And what we've found as we've been having these conversations over the last few months is a really complementary set of capabilities in terms of product, but also in terms of the employee base, the engineering talent, the support and professional services that we bring. And finally, with a very common and more powerful together, better together story when it comes to thinking about the future and the roadmap. Next slide. So today, I've given the introductions. Who's on the call from our side? I'm going to step back and think through a little bit of the story of automation, where we've come from and where we're going. Share a little bit about what analysts think the projections for this market are, and where the analysts see it going. And then we're going to share the stories of these two companies. I think as you hear the stories from Brian and Heath, you'll start to understand that complementary nature of the technologies that both companies bring. Then I'll talk about what this combined company looks like, some of the benefits to you as customers, and what's next. And I hope we leave plenty of time for questions at the end. Next slide. Like I said, we've been in this combined for 4 decades. And if you think about what was happening in this space a few decades ago, not even all the way to 4, but you think about where this started, and I was trying to find it at one point when I was making this presentation, a Windows 3.1 icon, and I couldn't even find one. But that's when I really started interacting at all, I guess, with business productivity and individual productivity, which was what a lot of those applications were really focused on. And the idea was that you can now do things through a computer, and it's really kind of the end of paperwork. You can be, as an individual, so much more productive because you don't have to mail things or fax things. You can do things through email. You don't have to write everything handwritten or in a typewriter. You can do things through those amazing apps like WordPerfect. You don't have to keep a ledger. You can keep this ledger in Excel. And so this was all about the age of using machines to increase the productivity of a human, and doing things faster and more efficiently so that you as a human can be more productive and efficient. Then we get to the 2010s until about this year. And this was all about collaboration and automation between people and systems. And the way we were able to do that is to have people interact with systems that would be then integrated and interacting with a business, and then the business could do things with people and with its own backend systems. And I think a great example of this is Amazon and what became the revolution of e-commerce. And you think about when Amazon launched, it was the premise and the promise of buying any book in the world and having that book delivered to your doorstep. And what had to happen there is that you had to have a UI, an interface, a front door, so to speak, for the customer to go browse things and then put something in a virtual cart, and then type in their address, and then have payment information and processing systems. And on the business side, they had to integrate with things like inventory management, logistics systems. They had to have people that could use those systems so they got the right book and ultimately delivered that to your house. So it was this incredible wave of how business is done more efficiently, faster, easier for the customer, all facilitated by the automation and the machines that were connecting people and systems. And now what I see is with the introduction of agents, what I'm calling like the 4-dimensional gains in productivity that we're going to have between human systems and agents. And you can imagine, just humans interacting with agents like we all do with Chat GPT and Anthropic and all the others, and just doing things more efficiently. And the number one use case I think that they've found for Chat GPT today is recipes. And you can kind of tell GPT, here's the stuff that's in my fridge, what can I cook? Or you can ask it for a certain type of recipe and what ingredients, and create a shopping list and step-by-step guides. So there's that type of productivity, which is interesting, but probably not game-changing. There's productivity between humans and humans, because humans actually are doing things faster. And that makes them more productive in how they interact with other humans. Then there's productivity between humans and agents, as well as agents and agents. So the agents to agents are actually doing things as well, and they're interacting with systems. So there's a multiplicative effect when agents come into play here. And what we see is that the orchestration of the people, the systems, and the agents is what's complicated. And that is, if you think about all of the complexity that now these systems and agents have to navigate, right? That's where orchestration really matters. And that's where it becomes not even just valuable, but absolutely required. We work with businesses where 99% accuracy isn't good enough. And I was listening to a podcast. We probably on this call often listen to the same types of things. And Elon Musk was talking about the Tesla full driving mode, full self-driving, and how it would maybe see a parking spot and think, oh, that's an open parking spot and I can fit, but it wouldn't take into account, oh, there's only 3 inches on each side. And actually the passenger can't get out, or maybe I can solve this by letting the passenger out before I pull into the parking spot, and vice versa. But that's all stuff that now has to be considered, because you have an agent that's actually making decisions, and it needs to make those decisions considerate of a human and process lots of different exceptional cases and edge cases to get those things right. Go to the next slide. So when I said valuable, that's what the analysts are saying here too. Right now, businesses, again, most of OpenAI today is used for recipe hunting. So businesses are only using this type of capability in about 5% of their enterprises out there today. By 2030, Gartner is estimating that this is going to get up to 70%. So 70% looking for it and adopting platforms that are really able to orchestrate this, the business, this processes, agents, bots, and with humans as well, as humans are needed in those processes. Much more complicated. Again, 99% accuracy isn't enough for these types of businesses. So we're on this path now where that accuracy is becoming much more important, and the ability to govern and test and ensure that the agents and the processes are working as you need them to is what's going to bring us from that 5% to that 70%. And in terms of the market value of that, there's estimates of 23 billion that you see here from Global Market Insights, and I've seen estimates all the way up to 30 billion of just how much businesses are going to need to spend on this. And of course, they're looking for ROI on that. But that means the agents have to do real work, right? The AI has to do real work, and that work is going to be done hand in hand with systems and with people. Next slide. So together, again, 4 decades plus of combined experience, we're serving 700 customers in our key verticals like banking and insurance, healthcare, education, and manufacturing. We continue to invest and will continue to invest across both companies in innovation and more product engineering and R&D. You can see some of the awards of the awards that we've recently had that have recognized that. And we're really proud that the way we work with customers and the way we want to continue to be very customer focused and dedicated has been also recognized and appreciated. You see the G2 scores there and the Gartner scores across peer insights, and then also in the analyst waves, like with Everest and Gartner as well. So this is certainly a set of awards and a set of metrics that we want to keep and have grow as we combine these companies together. And with that, I want to start to tell these stories. So I'm going to ask Brian to share a little bit about the ProcessMaker story. And Brian will follow that up with Heath sharing about the decision story.
Great, thanks, Giles. It's great to be here today, and this is really a truly big announcement for us, as all of our customers know. So I'm excited to present this with both Giles and Heath. So just to, we have a lot of ProcessMaker customers on today's webinars. I see a lot of names I recognize. And so I think it's going to be important to distinguish between what the new platforms and technologies that we're gaining through this merger mean to the ProcessMaker customers. But first, I want to kind of review what it is we do as ProcessMaker. So we really think about our products as 3 separate products today. We have the ProcessMaker platform, which is a full business process automation platform. It's been a platform we've been developing since 2008 when we launched the first iteration of it. And it really, our idea behind ProcessMaker was to develop a very easy to access, easy to use, but truly enterprise-grade business process automation platform. In that platform, we have the idea of a designer, a true BPMN 2.0 compliant designer, and the way in your designs to combine human tasks with system tasks, with pushing and pulling data to and from existing systems. And then on the user side, it's usually governed by an inbox experience. About half of our customers use the inbox. Others may do what's called lazy approvals, where everything is done through email or Slack. Others may have custom views that they use to access those tasks that are assigned to them. Our solution is a truly cloud-native API-first solution and architecture. A big component of what we also have is our IDP technology, our intelligent document processing. So that is kind of what you would know as OCR, but a little bit more intelligent, where we extract data from documents. Today, we do that both using a dedicated IDP technology, and also oftentimes now mixing it with agentic AI. And then our integrations, so what some might know as an iPaaS or an integration platform, very easy way to develop your REST connectors to get data in and out of our system. Now, as part of that platform, we have our AI agents. So like most platforms nowadays, AI agents are becoming more and more important as agents start doing more and more work. So this is a task type in ProcessMaker. Instead of handing something to a human task where a human will review something, or a script task where we might run some calculations, or a connector task, you can hand it to an AI agent. Let the AI agent, who is probably trained using RAG training on your documents to understand how to perform a certain task. And slowly that agentic layer is able to do more and more of the other tasks that I mentioned, the script tasks, the human form tasks, the connector tasks. And then finally, we, a couple of years ago, acquired a platform for task mining. So it's our process intelligence capability, which is really based on another type of agent that sits on a desktop, understands what is happening in a business, and then draws the process for you. So without having no prior knowledge of the process, it's able to draw the process. And that way we can kind of discover without having to do lots of user interviews and try and figure out how a process is happening. We can actually automatically discover it. And in fact, you can then currently you can import what you've discovered. So we'll draw the process. You can now import that into ProcessMaker as a BPMN diagram and begin iterating on it as you want to make changes to it. So those are the three categories of products we have today in ProcessMaker. And our style of process management is really based on the business process diagram, the BPMN 2.0 compliant diagram. And when we think about a diagram, we have kind of all of the notation you expect in BPMN. So in this case, we see a really simple linear path where it starts with a start event. And here we call out that start event could be changed to a start event that's based on a timer. It's a manual one where we're just going to hit start to say file a new, start a new process or a new case as we call it. It could be based on a signal, could be based on a message, so something that's triggering it from outside of ProcessMaker, or it could be conditional. So these are the kinds of ways that you can start a process according to BPMN. And then it passes, in this case, to a user task. So we see an example of a form with 3 fields. And below it, in the yellow boxes, we're calling out how our processes work. So there's a JSON object, which as the imaginary token flows across this process, the JSON object will begin to transform because each task will affect it. It may make some calculations, it may pull in some data, it may add some new fields. So in the next one, we see a script task, runs a calculation based on the JSON object, and then comes up with some additional fields that get added. Then in this example, we send it to a data connector where we're going to have a typical REST connector. We have access to APIs on both sides, the target system where we may be posting something to it or getting some information from it. Again, all being stored in that JSON object. And the JSON object continues to flow through. And at the end, we have a more complete JSON object. And we might now signal another process to start. Could be in ProcessMaker, could be in another system. So this is kind of the typical model. And so again, using that BPMN notation, here is what a more complex process might look like. And the reason BPMN became such a great standard is because it's able to elegantly handle exceptions. So when a business process runs, it's great if it runs according to the way we would love it to run, which is our happy path. But what happens when we bump up against the edge cases that Giles was talking about with the example of the parking? So it is really the edge cases that we have to handle in business, or the business process just completely breaks down. So here we see a couple different start events. Then we go and get some information from SAP, but then we might get an error response. What if SAP is down? What if we can't get that information for some reason? If we are able to continue along the happy path, then maybe we make a calculation, then we might hit a gateway, and then we might send it to a manager for review. Now, when a manager reviews it, we might say, great, well, they have a certain amount of time. There's an SLA. Within 15 days, they need to review it. What happens if they don't finish in 15 days? Well, in this case, we're going to interrupt that task. We could also, and send an email. We could also make this a non-interrupting type of event that launches at 15 days. So again, it's this ability to handle all these exceptions. And as you can imagine, the world, as of a couple of years ago, just got thousands of times more complex with the advent of AI, and specifically as agents begin acting in these processes. So in this example, I don't have any agents, but we do have our agents. They're going to multiply and they're going to proliferate and they're going to start taking over, and there are going to be many, many more AI agents in processes than there are humans. And in fact, there are other types of tasks. And these agents are going to cause a proliferation of all of these edge cases. So if you don't have a structured way of dealing with this, a pattern for managing the process, you're going to have a lot of problems, which is why this style of process management has just become much, much more important in the age of agentic AI. And so again, looking at this diagram, you see the different types of tasks, gateways, events that we support, which is really a very complete set of that standard. And like I said, it's easy to read. The whole reason for this kind of diagramming is that it is a place where IT and business stakeholders can converge and work together. And then we can elegantly handle the exception paths. And it's a standard, so we can import and export it, for example, from task and process mining solutions. So for those of you who have been with us, and I see again on this webinar, we have customers from our higher education vertical, we have some of our banking customers, we have some of our private equity banking customers on. Many of you already know our history. We've been around for 25 years. We're about 150 employees today. We do business in 55 different countries. So we're very international business. About half of our business is based in the US and the other half is based outside of the US. So we do really understand the international realm. We've got more than 3 million users using our various products today. We're focused in those verticals that I see a number of you from today. So we have higher education, banking, manufacturing. These are some of the verticals that we tend to focus on more than others. I'm really proud of the awards we've won in the last 2 years, specifically the Cody Awards for Best Gen AI Solution, both in 2024 and 2025. And now with this merger, like I've said, we're very, very excited. It really brings together a number of additional unique product capabilities. So you'll, in a moment here, be able to contrast the way we do process automation and now the new capabilities we have thanks to the merger with Decisions. It's a very different style of automation, one that our customers have been asking us for a long time. My colleague Heath will go into that in terms of more capabilities in workload automation, more capabilities in rules, in data app design, and a number of other really interesting areas.
Thanks, Brian.
So with that, I will turn it over to Heath, but not without a proper introduction. So I'm really excited to be on the same team as Heath. I've known him for about 5 years. We've been talking for quite some time, admiring what he's done in Decisions at a distance, and always recognizing the great complementary nature of what Decisions has built and why these two technologies and companies really belong together. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Brian. I'm going to echo that sentiment. It's a lot of fun to now be properly partnered with Brian. I got the chance to meet him about 5 years ago and have been carefully tracking what ProcessMaker does. And both of our companies have a passion. I think both Brian and I personally have a deep passion to see people interact with enterprise software in a managed, governed, secure, auditable way, preventing maintenance problems from really crippling the advantages that we get as companies from using enterprise software. And so kind of coming together, listening to Brian even just now present ProcessMaker to you, his customers, and hearing the way he talks about and kind of sets up the kind of wonderful complement that exists between ProcessMaker technology and Decisions technology, it's got me really excited, everybody. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for spending some time with us this morning and hearing a little bit about why we think bringing these product sets and these teams together are gonna have a lot of benefit for you, our customers. Where ProcessMaker has largely focused on being BPMN compliant and helping the analyst community and the customer understand business processes and lay out business processes. Decisions has taken a largely rule first, or what is often referred to in our industry as workload automation approach. Workload automation generally refers to things that are scheduled, extremely high volume, more back-end processes, data manipulation. You might think of like a very sophisticated ETL type process where data is moving around an organization. It may require some approvals or some of the SLA concepts that Brian is talking about that I think Process Maker does an amazing job with on the front end. Um, but is really more the data manipulation, data management, high volume data processing side. And it's centered around a rule engine. We have a very comprehensive, scalable business rule engine that allows you to edit in a number of different formats, what we call truth tables and then what we call deterministic statement rules, to create guidelines, guidance, fraud detection rules, knockout rules, loan determination rules, even rules around things that Process Maker has industry expertise in, like transfer credit. The rule engine is something that we built early in our company because we were heavily involved in some healthcare billing environments. And if you have ever been engaged with the American healthcare system, you'll understand that rules drive whether or not providers get paid and how much patients pay in an amazing way. And those rules change constantly when the Center for Medicare and Medicaid issues new guidance on a quarterly basis to all of the healthcare companies and organizations in the world, excuse me, in North America. So Decisions wants to bring configuration of complex software closer and closer and closer to the business people who are affected so that you get this wonderful combination of the business analyst, the business owner, the employee, and the developer. So you heard Brian talk about that during his presentation of the Process Maker product. That's the exact same problem domain that Decisions has always played in, but we've taken a very different approach. And bringing these two approaches together is going to give us the opportunity to serve you, our customers, much better. So our core platform is a drag and drop visual, no code design environment that really centers around that rule engine concept. I was meeting with Gartner back in 2017 and had a conversation even in 2017 about AI. And this was kind of as big data and machine learning were the top technology buzzwords used when we talked about AI. And the Gartner analyst sat down with me and he pulled out a textbook actually that he was going through a master's program. And he was showing me that the actual definition of artificial intelligence involves a series and a sequence of complementary techniques, including and not limited to the things we're seeing today explode in our industry. Agentic AI, MCP, large language models, all the generative AI capabilities that we have for content, but also things like big data analysis, data analytics, and deterministic rules. Our deterministic rule engine that sits at the heart of the Decisions platform is really part and parcel to a comprehensive AI strategy and AI approach. One of the things both Brian and I are passionate about, you hear it from Brian and you'll hear it from me, is that companies like you need an AI strategy. You need a corporate AI strategy. You don't want to make and repeat the same mistakes that we've seen over the last several years of people deploying technology that promises individual worker benefits fast, but creates a lot of technical debt on the back end. I'm referring to things like RPA, which had a lot of impact very, very quickly for a lot of individual departments, users, or teams. But over time, the lack of a consistent way to audit those processes, to look at who had permission to those processes, to analyze and understand what those processes were doing, and to ensure that they comply and conform to the corporate standard, created a huge maintenance burden for companies. And so using our platforms gives you the ability to set and have an AI orchestration approach that can be consistent regardless of what department, what team, or what style or type of process you're trying to implement that might involve AI at the core. So we have support for AI agents and MCP. We have a lot of support in our orchestration engine for using and leveraging AI technology from all the major players and major vendors, major foundation models, without being tied to any one. So we've created an abstraction layer that gives you the opportunity and the ability to battle test them against one another, to find best fit for a specific use case, all while maintaining that consistent operation and that consistent corporate strategy. We also have a process mining tool. Our process mining tool is a wonderful complement to ProcessMaker's task mining tool. Process mining generally is attached to the system of record, like Salesforce, SAP, or Ellucian, right? And process mining ingests log files and does all the analysis to help you understand what is going on in your environment, who's participating when, where the holdups are, and where efficiencies can be gained. What's awesome about our merger is that our process mining tool, it actually generates its result output just like ProcessMaker's task mining tool is pure BPMN. And of course, ProcessMaker being a pure BPMN workflow orchestration system means that you can go very quickly from analysis to execution. And that's something that we're really, really excited to bring to all of our customers, both the Decisions and the ProcessMaker customers. If you look at the way Decisions is architected, we offer our product as both a cloud-hosted offering, but primarily we're delivered on premise. So a lot of customers who have highly regulated environments or highly secure environments deploy Decisions in their existing infrastructure. And this slide is maybe overly technical. We'd love for you to come and get a demo from the Decisions team of what the Decisions platform can do for you. But the Decisions product can fit in almost any enterprise architecture. We have a comprehensive API layer on the front end. We have a series of user interfaces that can be used. We support most major databases on the back end. We have integrations for all kinds of out-of-the-box systems, both the kind of enterprise things that you would expect, SAP, Salesforce, Oracle Financials, and also a lot of consumer tools like, say, Google Sheets or just connecting to Office products to be able to pull data into a process to subject it to a series of rules and ultimately move that through to conclusion or fruition. So our product is highly scalable. It is a .NET application. And again, it can be deployed in a fairly cloud agnostic way. Bringing Decisions and ProcessMaker together adds to the team. Decisions has a strong development team. We have a strong customer success team. We have a fairly large professional services team. And so we'll be training and upskilling all of our team members in professional services across the globe, and we'll be able to support your customizations and your use cases much more effectively with a global team. In North America, that's where our focus has been. So we're excited to join that to ProcessMaker's global reach. We've got a lot of success in financial services, insurance, manufacturing, some healthcare, and of course the public sector. And we do have some higher education customers over on the Decision side that we are so excited to bring into the ProcessMaker family, as ProcessMaker has great expertise in higher education. We've spent our entire careers here in high volume, real-time transaction processing and decisioning. We are in several of the analysts' intelligent decisioning waves, orchestration waves, and by bringing ProcessMaker and Decisions together, we expect to be ultimately a leader in the new boat platform category, which is business orchestration and automation technologies. I think our capabilities as a joined company are unmatched. And I think our innovation around AI in both companies coming together to form a common AI team are not going to be beatable. So we're really excited to be working together. I'm going to hand back off to Giles to talk about what's next. And then we'd love to chat with you guys. Start thinking about questions because we will have an open QA session at the end here.
Thanks, Heath. Thanks, Brian. Okay, you go to the next slide. So who are we now? I think you've gotten the preview and you may have come to this conclusion yourself, but this is our vision. And in many ways, we think this combination has already built the most powerful business orchestration automation technology company out there. Next slide. We have a suite of products now. One of the important things about this combination is we really are able to meet the customer wherever they are. I mean, compare that to one of the companies that is in this space, Palantir. If you're not a Fortune at least 500, probably 100, you're not spending a lot of time and doing a lot of business with Palantir. But we're able to meet customers where they are, whether it is real workflow and process automation, or whether it's very serious enterprise rule engine and workload automation, all powered by AI. As Heath alluded to, and Brian mentioned as well, we have very complementary and now even bigger together customer support, professional services, the product and engineering team, and we're in 6 continents. We're in over 60 countries where we're servicing customers today. So we're putting our workforce where our customers are, and that's important to us. But then we're also big enough where we can continue to serve those large companies, even if they're global. We are too. And then lastly, we're very focused on how we're putting AI to real work. And as we look at the combination of this product and engineering team, that's where we see our work and our investment in 26 and beyond. Next slide. So what you can imagine now, and what I think you heard in this story, is the capabilities that this combination brings to learn about your processes through things like process mining and task mining, to design those processes in BPMN, to automate the processes and the workflows, to build workload applications supported by the enterprise rule engine. And of course, all of this with AI not only inside the product, helping you do this more efficiently and in a more low code and visual way, but also actually applying AI to businesses, and not in that 99% accurate or less way, but in a way that is really highly governed, where you're sure of what happened, and where you can make those changes if you need to. Next slide. And this is where our focus is going forward. I'll say first that there will be no forced migration. We see these as really 2 platforms offering complementary capabilities, but there's no plan to migrate a customer over to another platform or to smash the platforms together so you get a third thing that looks unfamiliar. This is really about bringing these capabilities together. And so as we do that, and as I've already said, that we have a stronger and unified team focused on our customers that's truly global, with professional services, support, customer success, all focused from the mid-market up to the enterprise. And we want to give these capabilities or put these capabilities in the hands of customers, right? So there will be absolutely access to both platforms and capabilities based on the use case. Heath, Brian, and I were on the phone with a large healthcare company this morning and talking about some of the things that we could do for them. And we came away with 3 use cases. And of those 3, we were like, the ProcessMaker's capabilities are actually really valuable here, and maybe Decisions is a better fit over here. So that's the beauty of having these capabilities all under one roof. As I mentioned, a very strong focus on AI orchestration and governing and scaling and applying AI agents. I was with Zach Cass, who was the head of go-to-market for OpenAI for a number of years, and he said the number one thing that scares him is "quote unquote" unexplainable AI. In businesses having AI do stuff, but they really don't know why it did what it did, and that's why it's so important that if you think about what we do as a combined company, what we have done from the start, it's really mapping out and understanding how workflow is progressed or workload is automated, and then putting AI in at the right place with the right data, the right preceding steps, and the right follow-on steps. And that's what our platforms are designed to allow businesses to do. And then lastly, we have a combined product and engineering team that is much bigger. And for that reason, we're able to do more in terms of our roadmap and our R&D investment. And this is going to be continued to be guided by and follow the boat concept of orchestration and automation. So with that, we do have some time for questions. And I think we may have already gotten a couple in the chat, but let's
if it's appropriate, I'd like to throw out the first question, because I think I understand a little bit about the ProcessMaker customer universe. And so, Brian, my question would be for you, Are we going to be releasing a product that is Decisions plus Process Maker together in some way that's going to require customers have to immediately upgrade or use some different version of the platform?
Yeah, that's a great first question to kick it off. So for all the ProcessMaker customers on here, there is no requirement to migrate to a new platform. Decisions is not an upgrade of the ProcessMaker platform. What hopefully we've conveyed today is that these are complementary capabilities. So I do know a number of you that are on today's call where I believe the workload automation, that sort of back-end data, ETL, job manipulation technology explanation that Heath gave is exactly what many of you need in addition to the workflow kind of process orchestration that you're doing currently with Process Maker. So we see it as something totally complementary. And really it is for the difference being, we do one-to-one. Decisions is also very good at one-to-many. So, you kick off a job and now you have to process lots of worksheets at night. You have to update, thousands of data points, each day, each week, each night, each hour, whatever that may be. So I think we really want to look at it that way, and we're going to hopefully get into some discussions around that with each of you.
Yeah. There's another question here around integration. And what I'd say is, again, it's not that we are going to force the migration of a platform or try to bring these two platforms together. It's really access to capabilities. And so I think if there's a question from either side, from a Decisions customer or a Process Maker customer about how can I do stuff with the other, that's the right conversation to have. And absolutely, the access to the capabilities is possible. And I think what we envision is to eventually do this through a much more unified front end, right? So that the front end for you as a customer may be the same, but you'll have access to that complete set of capabilities that both platforms on the back end bring. We got one other from James Fung. Being a current Process Maker customer, does it mean I can use Decisions functionality features in Process Maker? James, I tried to answer that a little bit just when I was speaking there, but that is certainly the vision. Doesn't exist today, but absolutely would love to talk to you about the functionality of Decisions if you're interested. Brian, anything else you want to say there?
Yeah, and I guess it depends on how we interpret the word in. So I would probably characterize it more, and I don't know if that's where the emphasis on that question was, but I would say more alongside. So again, I know the kind of work that this customer is doing, and I can imagine lots of use cases where, again, workload automation would be much more, a workload automation approach would be much more appropriate and would complement some of the things we're doing with the process side of things, and also the decision rules. So again, I think that's an area we began putting that into the Process Maker product a couple of years ago, but to be honest, we just never had the expertise, and you just don't gain that kind of expertise overnight. So that those kind of chops are earned, and Heath and his team have earned them running millions and millions of rule sets at very, very large scale for some very important clients. So I think these are things that would complement, would open up new use cases you may have brought to us in the past, and we may have looked at and somewhat sub-enthusiastically said, oh, yeah, we can do that. But in reality, it just was not the right tool for that particular process. Now we have that full, more complete tool set. So we know when you come, hey, this is the process I'm talking about, we can say, well, this is the better approach. And I would also add, so again, besides the workload automation, besides the process mining, besides the rules automation, there's also more of the applications. So complex data driven applications. That's something you also wouldn't necessarily do in Process Maker. We don't take a data first approach. We take a process first approach. And there's lots of those use cases I've seen over the years where the technology that Heath and his team have delivered and developed would be much more appropriate.
I think the easiest way to think about it is just kind of, I guess, echoing and repeating what both Giles and Brian have said. Is, James, initially, we don't intend to slam the two products together in any kind of a careless way. We have two customer bases that rely on our products, PM3, PM4, and Decisions. We don't want to disrupt that. So we will continue innovating and engineering on both of those product lines with their slightly different philosophies. And what you're going to see is more common capabilities start to exist in between the two, where we have innovative opportunities to do things like document management in the DMS. Right? The DMS might be usable equivalently from inside both platforms, and you're going to be able to use features of the other platform from the other, but not necessarily directly in. So I just want to encourage you in that both of these products are going to move forward. Both of these products have a long life ahead of them. And yes, you will start to see some things converge, but not in a way that's going to be disruptive to you, our customer.
Yeah, and there's a few questions from Desiree. So no need to or expectation to rewrite workflows. You won't be getting a new solution where you have to learn a new way to interact with it. Nothing like that. And you did have a question that, Brian, I'll pitch to you around PM3 and maybe using Decisions as a substitute for BPM workflow application on PM3.
Again, they tend to be pretty different. So if it was built in a previous generation of PM, of ProcessMaker, the philosophy of ProcessMaker has stayed consistent in the newer generation, just with some, a major upgrade, a major uplift. So again, there may have been things built in the past in PM3 that weren't ideal candidates, and so those could be looked at. But in general, no, you would stay on your current path. And so nobody's going to be forced to migrate or change platforms. These are additional new capabilities that we would encourage customers to look at for new problems they're facing.
I think there was a kind of a sub question to that. The question was, if I'm on PM3, is there the potential for me to use Decisions as an on-premise solution as opposed to moving to PM4? And Brian's point here is the strongest. We've taken very different approaches to the way that we solve these problems. So the two products work in very different ways and have very different purposes. And so it's certainly not a question that we could say yes to with ease, because it depends a lot on the use case and the way the product is deployed and what the workflows are that you've built and what the users look like who connect with them. But it is a conversation we're having internally about whether or not the on-premise install of Decisions could be a solution for customers who don't want to move to PM4 in the cloud. I don't think that's going to be the outcome, but it is a conversation that we need to have and figure out as a company and present to you with clarity.
Yeah. James, I see that you have one other question that I'll ask Heath to answer very quickly. There's one other question that I'll answer around cost implications. You should not expect any major changes to your contracts. Both of these entities still exist, right? So ProcessMaker and Decision won't be rewriting contracts or sending new contracts or changing pricing plans. Again, this really brings access to new capabilities, and we'd love to talk about those new capabilities, which, James, I think your question kind of gets more to of the benefits of clients who have been struggling with RPA and how maybe we can help them with this and how this may or may not play in the agentic space.
That's a great question. When I mentioned RPA, I was really using it as a cautionary tale for what people are doing with AI. I think just yesterday, the Everest Group Peak Matrix came out with a report, the Peak Matrix for process orchestration, just company-wide process orchestration. And both Decisions and ProcessMaker are on that matrix and in great position, because I think that where an RPA tool, a lot of the RPA companies recognize the need for long-term maintenance, but they realized that after the RPA industry started to explode. And so a lot of these companies went and very quickly added on, you heard Brian use this term, human in the loop processing. UiPath has a tool called the Orchestrator as an example. But these, these companies aren't good at human in the loop workflow, business process orchestration, right? Brian and I are. And so if companies are using tools like ours, setting a strategy and employing that strategy consistently as they're implementing RPA, then they don't end up with the same kind of long-term problems that companies who are just quickly deploying RPA end up with. And that's my caution with AI. I think, of course, I want you to use our tools. I love our tools. I think very highly of them. But frankly, if you walk away from this presentation and don't even use ProcessMaker or Decisions, have an AI orchestration strategy. Don't go and deploy point AI solutions across your company because it might make a near-term bang, but you're going to pay a very big long-term cost. And so it's really me just trying to encourage you to set a strategy and employ very, very consistent practices with regard to deploying AI in your organization.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can just bring the deck back up, folks, these types of conversations are the favorite conversations that myself, Heath, and Brian have every week. So if you have other questions, please reach out to your CSM. If there's an issue reaching out to them or you want to get in touch directly, just email sales@processmaker.com. We are here to talk about these capabilities. We're excited about it. That's why we did this. And we want to make sure that all of you as customers are the first to get these new capabilities and first to learn about them. So thank you again for the time. We are excited for what's ahead, and we are glad to have you as customers and as a part of the journey. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.